Elias Grant never thought losing a bet could lead to teaching an alien about human reproduction. He had spent his life dealing with computers, systems, and the occasional stubborn AI. But now he was face to face with Tyrol, a creature from a species that saw emotions as a mathematical flaw. The alien's eyes, or whatever the glowing lenses were called, blinked slowly as if measuring Elias' worth. Elias didn't know whether to laugh or panic. Probably both. It all began with a casual conversation over lunch in the Galactic exchange habitat, a floating station orbiting a neutral star. Elias had been assigned a shared quarters program with Tyrol, a brilliant yet impossibly literal alien who had never encountered human chaos in a meaningful way. They were supposed to exchange knowledge, a phrase Elias now understood could mean anything from advanced engineering tips to the awkward intricacies of human behavior. Humans are illogical in nearly all aspects of reproduction, Tyrol said, his voice modulated through a translator that flattened emotion into monotone. Pairing, gestation, parenting. Your species prioritizes irrationality over efficiency. Your species does not meet any of these requirements. I'd bet anything you'd lose if you tried to prove humans are inferior because of reproduction. Deal. Tyrol's sensors and calculations could not refute it. Tyrol's response was immediate and formal. Data supports your claim. According to the terms I have lost, prepare for a complete educational session on your species' reproductive processes. And yes, I will take notes. Let's start simple, Elias said. Humans reproduce sexually. That means two people contribute genetic material to create a child. Two different sets of DNA combine, which increases variation. That variation is why humans can adapt to changing environments better than, well, I guess better than cloning. It's not just biology. Humans pair bond, sometimes for life, because we invest in raising offspring together. A child is not born fully capable. We have to teach, protect, and nurture. Emotional attachment makes us care enough to survive as a unit. Emotional bonding is a variable introducing risk and instability. Civilizations are irrelevant to biological efficiency. Elias poured himself a cup of coffee he hadn't touched since the day started. Teaching Tyrol was going to be a marathon, not a sprint. Next, Elias said, pointing at a stick figure diagram, humans go through different stages: conception, gestation, birth, childhood, adolescence, adulthood. Each stage has risks, challenges, and learning experiences. Think of it as a developmental pipeline that requires care, attention, and emotional investment. We survive because we try things that shouldn't work, and sometimes they do. And then we teach the next generation to try again, smarter, faster, stronger. Observation: humans willingly introduce failure points into reproduction, yet outcomes are statistically favorable, Tyrol said. Contradiction detected. Explanation required. Sounds nice, right? Our failures are lessons, not disasters. That trust creates cooperation, innovation, and resilience. It's messy, it's inefficient, but it works better than perfection. It always has. Logically, that is improbable. So practical demonstration is necessary, Tyrol asked. Practical, Elias said. We'll stick to diagrams, examples, and real-world observations. You don't need the intimate parts, just the science, the social implications, and the human experience. Let's start with family units. Humans have different types: nuclear families, extended families, communal arrangements. All revolve around care and shared responsibility. Yet humans survive. Despite the alien's brilliance, he seemed utterly incapable of understanding why humans embraced unpredictability. By the end of the day, Tyrol had filled his data cores with thousands of points, charts, and notes. Elias collapsed onto the couch, exhausted. Teaching an alien about humanity's most personal aspects, even in a fully scientific, sanitized way, was more draining than any human classroom he had ever experienced. Tyrol hovered silently for a moment, then spoke. Preliminary conclusion: human reproductive behavior contributes to species resilience through emotional and social structures. Statistical anomaly accepted. Further study required. As the habitat lights dimmed and the stars outside glimmered faintly, Elias realized something. This was just the first day. Tyrol had lost a bet, yes, but the lessons would continue, and he had a feeling that the alien roommate might end up learning more than anyone expected, about humans, life, and maybe even meaning. And somewhere in that thought, Elias smiled. The galaxy had yet to see what humans could do when their chaos was fully understood. Elias woke early the next morning to the quiet hum of the habitat. Tyrol had already moved into observation mode, hovering near the window with a small array of floating sensors that tracked everything in the room. Elias sighed, stretching. He knew this lesson would be different from the day before. Teaching Tyrol about human biology had been one thing. Now he needed to show why humans lived the way they did, not just how reproduction worked. "Good morning," Elias said, pouring himself coffee. "Ready for day 2 of Human Chaos 101. I am prepared to receive additional data regarding the practical and social implications of human reproduction. I'll take you outside." 2 adults, 3 kids, a dog, a drone hovering for protection. They live together, care for each other, and share responsibilities. That's pretty typical. We don't just focus on efficiency. We focus on adaptation, emotional connection, and long-term planning. That combination makes us unpredictable and strong. If parents or caregivers didn't care, the child wouldn't survive. By forming bonds, humans protect each other, teach each other, and pass knowledge forward. Emotional attachment is a survival tool disguised as, well, love, trust, and loyalty. That family over there, the parents are arguing about work and chores, but when the child trips and falls, they immediately respond. The argument doesn't matter. The child matters more. That's instinct plus care. Elias could almost see the alien calculating probabilities, trying to reduce affection and care into numbers. "Observation. Protective behavior is triggered by child distress," Tyrol said. "Resource allocation increases temporarily. Inefficiency persists, yet survival is likely enhanced. Conclusion. Emotional attachment contributes to species resilience." You're starting to get it. Humans don't just survive as individuals. We survive as groups. Emotional investment and cooperation extend beyond family units. That's why humans can adapt to complex environments, form civilizations, and survive disasters that would destroy a single-minded species. Humans exhibit cooperative behaviors unrelated to immediate biological gain. Data supports abstract evolutionary advantage. Elias could sense the alien was beginning to experience something new: confusion, curiosity, maybe even intrigue. They returned to the habitat, and Elias decided it was time for storytelling. "Let me show you something," he said, opening a small hollow projector. Images of historical human moments appeared: building cities, discovering fire, navigating oceans, treating the sick, raising families. "Humans face challenges constantly," Elias explained. "Each generation faces a unique problem, from famine to invasion. Our reproductive system forces us to adapt and invest emotionally so our children survive and improve. Every child carries the lessons of generations before them, plus new potential. That combination is unpredictable and powerful." Elias could tell the alien was fascinated, even though it would never admit emotional fascination. "Question," Tyrol said. "Why do humans maintain bonds even when conditions are suboptimal? Why not separate when failure seems likely?" Humans create purpose through bonds, not just biology. That purpose drives resilience in ways your species doesn't calculate. The rest takes care of itself. This, Elias said, pointing at the children, is human civilization in miniature. Each child learns, experiments, fails, and tries again. They rely on adults and peers for guidance. Emotional connection ensures that these lessons stick. You could call it chaos with purpose. Yet humans demonstrate learning and resilience. Contradiction confirmed, further analysis required. By evening, Tyrol had accumulated vast amounts of observational data. Elias could see the alien processing something profound. "Preliminary conclusion," Tyrol said. "Humans integrate reproduction, social bonds, and education into a system that increases survival probability beyond mere efficiency. Emotional variables, previously considered detrimental, contribute positively. Hypothesis: human unpredictability is a strength. You lost a bet thinking humans were inefficient, but now you're the one learning things you never expected. Life can be surprising. It's messy, emotional, and chaotic, but it survives, and sometimes that's all that matters." Tyrol observed silently, perhaps realizing that human strength was not just in survival, but in the willingness to care, invest, and risk everything for the next generation. Elias knew this was only the beginning. Tomorrow, he would show the alien more about human society, creativity, and why humans were capable of achieving what no other species had. Tyrol had lost the bet, yes, but in doing so, it was beginning to understand a truth that could change its perspective, and maybe even the galaxy. For Elias, it was a reminder of something he had always known. Humans were messy, unpredictable, and emotional, but those qualities made them unstoppable in ways logic alone could never predict. And Tyrol, for all its calculations and efficiency, was about to learn just how powerful that messiness could be. Elias awoke to the soft hum of the habitat, sunlight filtering through the translucent walls. Tyrol was already active, hovering near the observation deck with an array of sensors that tracked everything outside. Elias yawned, stretching. Today, the lesson would go beyond charts, diagrams, and theoretical explanations. It was time for Tyrol to see the full spectrum of human unpredictability, how humans behaved when life got messy, and why that messiness gave them strength. "Good morning," Elias said, reaching for his coffee. "Ready to see humans in the wild?" Clarify, observation of human social and emotional behavior is requested. I am prepared to receive data. Elias pointed toward a family juggling groceries while a small child clung to a parent's leg. "Observe," Elias said. "They're balancing multiple challenges at once. The child is fussy, groceries are heavy, and traffic is moving quickly. Yet they manage." Observation, humans manage multiple variables simultaneously with imperfect success. Efficiency remains low, yet survival probability is high. Data contradiction noted. Elias explained the subtle social rules humans followed, helping strangers, sharing information, negotiating deals, and mediating disputes. Every interaction carried unpredictability, yet every interaction strengthened social cohesion. "Humans," Elias said, "don't just survive individually, we survive collectively." Emotional bonds and social cooperation are not random. They're survival strategies disguised as everyday life. Now let's add another layer: unpredictability in problem solving. Mistakes aren't failures, they're lessons. Humans learn by trying, failing, and adapting. Our reproductive system ensures that these lessons continue with each generation. We pass knowledge forward and improve, even when conditions are messy. Emotional feedback appears to enhance motivation. Conclusion: unpredictability facilitates innovation. High resource allocation, Tyrol noted. Outcomes are variable, efficiency remains low, yet humans persist and thrive. Children chased each other, laughing and shrieking. Adults joined in or watched, offering encouragement. One child tripped, scraping a knee, and immediately parents rushed to help, comforting the child while checking for injuries. "See that?" Elias said. "Emotional response to risk, instinct, care, and adaptation all combined. This is human life in action. We combine emotion, observation, and action to solve problems before they become disasters. Your species demonstrates simultaneous risk-taking and risk mitigation," Tyrol noted. Contradiction: risk introduces potential failure, yet mitigated by social cooperation, outcome probability enhanced. That's why we survive in unpredictable environments where pure logic would fail. Wars, diseases, natural disasters. Every generation faces unique problems. Our reproductive system forces us to care for the next generation. Emotional bonds ensure we teach, protect, and innovate. That's human HFY in action. Observation: humans integrate reproduction, social cooperation, and adaptive learning into a system that enhances long-term survival. Emotional factors previously considered inefficient contribute positively. Hypothesis: unpredictability is a deliberate evolutionary advantage. That combination is unbeatable in the long run. Elias sipped his coffee, feeling a mix of pride and exhaustion. Teaching Tyrol was exhausting, but he could see progress. The alien was beginning to understand not just human reproduction, but why humans lived, cared, and thrived the way they did. As night fell, Elias and Tyrol sat quietly, staring out at the city. The streets were still alive with energy, children running, adults laughing, and small acts of kindness happening everywhere. Elias realized that what he was teaching Tyrol was more than biology. It was humanity itself, chaotic, emotional, unpredictable, and unstoppable. Tyrol finally spoke, lenses flickering in thought. Preliminary conclusion: human unpredictability, emotional investment, and social cooperation form an adaptive system that surpasses purely logical models in variable environments. Efficiency is secondary. Survival is enhanced through emotional complexity. We survive because we're messy, and that messiness is our strength. Tomorrow, Elias said, stretching, we'll explore creativity, problem-solving, and the human drive to make the impossible happen. If you thought today was chaotic, wait until you see how humans think when they want to change the world. The alien was learning what no dataset alone could teach, that humans were more than numbers, more than biology, more than survival machines. Humans were beings who cared, who risked, and who thrived in ways Tyrol's species could scarcely imagine. Elias leaned back, watching the alien process. He knew that the lessons were far from over. The galaxy had yet to see the full power of human unpredictability, emotional resilience, and determination. Tyrol was only beginning to understand what it meant to be human, and what it meant for a species to survive not just through strength, but through care, cooperation, and the willingness to embrace chaos. For Elias, teaching Tyrol was a reminder of something he had always known. Humans were messy, emotional, and unpredictable, but those qualities made them unstoppable in ways logic alone could never predict. And as the city lights below twinkled and the stars shone outside, Elias smiled. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, deeper understanding, and more proof that human ingenuity and heart could surprise even the most calculating mind in the galaxy. The morning sun glinted off the metallic surfaces of the Galactic exchange habitat, and Elias Grant was already at his desk, sipping coffee and reviewing notes. Today's lesson with Tyrol was going to be different. Yesterday, the alien had seen humans in their unpredictable, chaotic element. Today, Elias had a plan: show Tyrol the broader consequences of human behavior, how it affected the galaxy, and why humans were so unexpectedly influential. "Morning," Elias said. "Ready to see what humans can do beyond your data screens? I am prepared to receive observational and historical data relating to human impact on multi-species interactions and galactic events." Elias scrolled through stories of trade missions, scientific collaborations, and disaster relief efforts. "Humans," Elias explained, "don't just survive on our own planets. We reach out. We interact, we help, we negotiate. And yes, sometimes we make mistakes, but our unpredictability and willingness to take risks often give us an advantage." Observation: humans engage in multi-species diplomacy without immediate personal gain. Emotional and social factors influence decision-making. Data confirms inefficiency, yet influence remains significant. That's why we have allies, even in hostile territories. Their presence seemed minor at first, but their adaptability and willingness to improvise prevented widespread chaos. Tyrol's sensors analyzed every detail. Observation: humans intervene in complex situations with limited resources. Efficiency is low, but outcomes exceed predictions. Hypothesis: human unpredictability and adaptability provide strategic advantage. They reviewed missions where humans had faced overwhelming odds, colonizing planets with hostile environments, surviving space storms, and negotiating peace between warring species. Each time, humans had relied on creativity, teamwork, and emotional intelligence as much as technology or strategy. "Humans," Elias explained, "don't just rely on raw calculations. We improvise, we take risks. We care, and those things together give us strength that no purely logical species can match. Your species demonstrates advantage through emotional unpredictability. Yet why do you maintain high-risk behaviors instead of optimizing efficiency? You might calculate the fastest way to survive today, but humans survive centuries, even millennia, by embracing risk, chaos, and cooperation. And here's the kicker: our reproductive system ties into all of this. We create variation, we teach, we form bonds, and we invest in the future. That's why humans endure where efficiency-focused species sometimes fail." He highlighted examples of adaptation: engineers repairing habitats under unexpected conditions, families working together to rebuild after storms, and educators improvising lessons for children in remote settlements. "Every day," Elias said, "humans prove that care, cooperation, and unpredictability can overcome challenges that pure logic cannot." Observation: humans convert risk and emotional investment into strategic advantage. Unexpected variable, resilience through care. Hypothesis: human unpredictability is superior in dynamic systems. And sometimes, we do it by caring too much and taking risks that seem crazy. Some species initially resisted, assuming human methods were inefficient, only to discover the results were surprisingly effective. Your species, Tyrol noted, leverages emotional understanding to influence non-human species. Outcomes exceed projections despite low efficiency. Data anomaly confirmed. Humans survive in ways other species can't predict because we understand people, not just numbers. Children learned through experimentation. Adults worked together to solve problems. Elders shared wisdom and guidance. Every interaction carried unpredictability, yet collectively the society thrived. Look closely, Elias said. Humans manage risk by caring for each other. Emotional investment ensures survival beyond individual capability. This is what gives humans an edge, not technology alone. Hypothesis: human social structures are optimized for long-term resilience rather than short-term efficiency. He set up a simulated crisis scenario, a natural disaster striking a human colony. Tyrol observed as humans responded in real time. Some panicked, some improvised, some took the lead and coordinated rescue efforts. Despite initial confusion, the colony adapted, minimized casualties, and restored essential functions. Observation: humans convert unpredictability and emotional response into effective problem-solving, Tyrol said. Efficiency low initially, outcome high, emotional investment critical to success. Elias projected historical archives showing humans in diplomacy, exploration, and survival. Each example reinforced the same pattern. Emotional intelligence, creativity, cooperation, and resilience allowed humans to succeed in ways no other species could. Tyrol's hums became longer and more complex. Elias could see the alien was processing at a level he had never observed before. Preliminary conclusion, Tyrol said finally. Human adaptability, emotional investment, and social cooperation constitute a system that surpasses purely logical models in dynamic environments. Inefficiency is secondary. Strategic advantage arises from unpredictability and care. We survive because we're messy, and that messiness is our strength. Humans were a force in the galaxy precisely because of their imperfections, unpredictability, and emotional depth. Tomorrow, Elias said, we'll go deeper. We'll explore creativity, innovation, and the ways humans shape the universe, not through raw power, but through determination, intelligence, and heart. Elias knew that the alien had begun to appreciate what humans had always known. Survival wasn't just about strength or efficiency. It was about connection, risk, adaptation, and care. The galaxy had yet to witness the full power of human unpredictability and resilience, and Tyrol, for all its calculations and logic, was only beginning to understand what made humans remarkable. Elias leaned back, watching the alien consider the human data. He knew the lessons were far from over. Tyrol had lost a bet, yes, but in doing so, it was learning truths about humanity that could reshape its understanding of life, and perhaps the galaxy itself. For Elias, teaching Tyrol was a reminder of something fundamental. Humans were messy, emotional, and unpredictable, but those qualities made them unstoppable in ways pure logic could never predict. And as the stars shimmered beyond the habitat windows, Elias smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new insights, and more proof that humans, in all their chaos, could thrive where no one else could. The morning sun glimmered across the galactic exchange habitat, casting long shadows over the observation deck. Elias Grant sipped his coffee, knowing that today would be the most important lesson yet. Tyrol, his alien roommate and student, hovered quietly nearby, sensors and displays ready. After days of observation, lectures, and discussions, Tyrol had accumulated an enormous amount of data about humans, their reproduction, emotions, cooperation, and unpredictable survival strategies. Today, Elias would show the alien the final piece: how humans affected the galaxy itself. Ready? Elias asked. Tyrol hummed. Affirmative. I am prepared to receive additional analysis regarding the consequences of human behavior on interspecies relations and galactic stability. Let's start with your own reports. Human emotional complexity, social cooperation, and adaptability enhance survival probability beyond predictions based on logic and efficiency alone. Unpredictability acts as a strategic advantage. Hypothesis: humans are disproportionately influential in multi-species ecosystems. That's what I've been telling you. When a human community thrives, it affects neighboring species. We share knowledge, solve problems, and negotiate peace. Our unpredictability keeps other species on their toes. You might not like the chaos, but it works. Efficiency low, outcome high. Contradiction noted and verified. Various species had initially resisted human proposals for trade, research, and joint exploration, assuming inefficiency would cause failure. Yet, humans consistently produced unexpected results. They adapted to circumstances, formed alliances based on trust and empathy, and solved problems that logic alone could not address. Observation: human proposals often surpass expectations despite high apparent inefficiency, Tyrol said. Emotional and social factors enhance effectiveness. Data anomaly confirmed. Humans survive and thrive by seeing possibilities others ignore, by caring enough to act, and by being willing to take risks that seem crazy to species like yours. Ilias knew the alien was starting to understand something crucial. Humans were not just adaptable. They were influential in ways no purely logical species could predict. Ilias decided to take the lesson further. He activated a historical simulation of human expansion across the galaxy. Holograms showed human colonies establishing themselves on distant worlds, creating settlements that prioritized adaptability and cooperation over rigid efficiency. Each colony's success was not measured by immediate technological gain, but by its long-term resilience, community bonds, and ability to thrive in unpredictable environments. Observe, Ilias said. Humans plan for the long term. Our reproductive strategies create diversity. Our social structures create stability. Our willingness to take risks produces innovation. Combine that, and you get civilizations that last and influence the galaxy in ways that no species can anticipate. Observation: humans integrate reproduction, social cooperation, education, and risk-taking into systems that exceed long-term survival predictions. Conclusion: human methodology provides strategic influence disproportionate to apparent efficiency. We're messy, chaotic, emotional, and unpredictable, but that messiness is our power. While other species would have relied solely on preset protocols, humans improvised, learned from failure, and improved their systems in real time. Observation: humans convert chaos into advantage, Tyrol noted. Predictable systems would have failed in similar circumstances. Efficiency-focused species would have collapsed. Emotional and cooperative variables critical to survival and influence. Ilias pointed out the human role in each scenario, emphasizing cooperation, negotiation, and adaptation. Even in situations where humans had no technological superiority, their creativity and emotional intelligence tipped the balance. Humans, Ilias said, have a way of changing the game without anyone noticing at first. We survive, we build, we protect, and we expand influence simply by being humans, being messy, caring, and unpredictable. Humans' strategic advantage lies in unpredictability and relational complexity. That's our power. Unlike other species that imposed control or expected obedience, humans shared knowledge willingly, trusting others to adapt and benefit. That trust created alliances, strengthened civilizations, and ensured long-term stability. Observation: humans project influence not through dominance, but through cooperation and knowledge sharing. Emotional investment enhances reliability of alliances. Efficiency appears low, yet long-term outcomes are high. Hypothesis: human methodology provides durable galactic advantage. Tyrol had gone from a skeptical, logical alien convinced of human inefficiency to one that fully recognized the depth and power of human methods. The alien's understanding of humans had shifted fundamentally. Now, Ilias said, you understand why humans matter in the galaxy, not because we are perfect, not because we're efficient, but because we are human. Messy, emotional, unpredictable humans who care enough to act. Respect for species established. The alien acknowledged human uniqueness, not as a curiosity or anomaly, but as a legitimate model of survival and influence. Ilias watched as Tyrol carefully structured the data to show how unpredictability, emotional investment, and cooperation created long-term advantages. When the report reached the Council, it caused a stir. Several species were shocked that a supposedly inefficient species could wield such influence simply by being adaptable and caring. Some feared that humans' methods would eventually give them an unassailable position in interspecies affairs. Others were intrigued, seeing potential lessons for their own civilizations. Tyrol's analysis forced the galaxy to reconsider what it meant to be strong, efficient, and powerful. Elias leaned back in his chair, exhausted but satisfied. Losing the bet had forced Tyrol to learn something profound. In turn, the alien had taught the galaxy the same lesson. Humans were remarkable, not in spite of their chaos, but because of it. "Thank you," Tyrol said quietly, lenses flickering in a pattern Elias recognized as acknowledgement. "Had I not lost the bet, I would never have understood the depth of human methodology. Humanity's strength lies not in domination, but in care, creativity, and adaptability. Not every alien would have tolerated human chaos for this long." Tyrol floated silently, processing and cataloging everything Elias had taught. The alien had gone from skepticism to understanding, from judgment to respect. And in doing so, it had become a witness to the true power of human ingenuity, resilience, and heart. Elias watched the stars, feeling a sense of pride. Humans were messy, unpredictable, and emotional, but that was exactly what made them unstoppable. The galaxy had underestimated them once, and it would never do so again. For now, the lesson was complete. Tyrol had learned what no dataset alone could teach. Humans survived, thrived, and influenced the galaxy not because they were perfect, but because they dared to care, to risk, and to embrace the chaos of life. And as the lights dimmed and the habitat settled into quiet, Elias smiled. Humanity's story was far from over. The galaxy was changing, and humans, messy, chaotic, resilient humans, would continue to shape it in ways no one could predict, simply by being themselves.